Fab Four of women's basketball makes the Final Four. Will anyone notice? Hello everyone, welcome to 3-0 Stance, where we give you 3 topics in 3 minutes. I'm with USA Today columnist Christine Brennan. And Christine, where is the bracket racket for the women's tournament?
Well, it's a great question, Mike. And I have to say that in the media, the mainstream sports media, male-dominated, it doesn't do a very good job, once again, of presenting the women's bracket. You know, you hear the words tournament, tournament, tournament. Everyone, from the national news to local talk shows, whatever you listen to, Mike, it's the tournament. And I've got news for everybody, newsflash here. There are 2 tournaments. There's the men's and the women's. And I've said this for 10 years. I'm kind of beating my head against a brick wall, but I'll say it again. The women's tournament is a terrific tournament this year, and I think USA Today does a good job, Mike, of covering it. But in general, there's a lot of people out there who are ignoring the women once again this year.
And it's interesting that USA Today received 1 complaint about our lack of women's coverage, but it was from a male reader. So is there enough support from women watching the women's tournament, or is it a larger issue?
That's the question. It's an excellent one, Mike. And I think the reality is, right now, maybe no. And you know, I wish women's groups would speak out. When I speak and talk to people, and they say, "Where's the coverage of women's sports?" I say, do you email sports editors? Do you make phone calls to your local newscasts, to the news departments? And they seem to not do that. And so maybe it's going to take another generation of women playing sports. Title IX is only 39 years old. The women's tournament has been around so much, it's so much newer than the men's tournament. Maybe it's just going to take another generation. Maybe today's 10-year-old girl, when she's 30, she'll demand the kind of coverage that the women's tournament deserves.
Speaking of this tournament, you made the point earlier that this could be one of the best Final Fours ever.
Yeah.
And the Fab Four we referred to earlier, Baylor, UConn, Stanford, and Tennessee have a combined record going into the tournament of 123-7, which is staggering to me. Do you see any potential upsets along the way that could make it not quite a Fab Four Final Four?
And I do agree, Mike. I think if those 4 teams make it to the Final Four, I think this could be the best women's Final Four ever, because you've got UConn, Gino Auriemma, you know, big name there. Of course, the streak in December and all the attention when they beat the UCLA men finally with their winning streak. So there's that attention. You've got Stanford, Tara Vanderveer. Stanford did beat UConn this year. You mentioned upsets, though, and there's Texas A&M in the way of Baylor. Brittany Griner, the star of Baylor, of course, everyone wants to see her get to the Final Four, but Texas A&M, they don't want to see her get to the Final Four. I think you also watch Xavier, Notre Dame, a couple other schools that are not #1 seeds. But my sense would be we'll see Pat Summitt against Gino Auriemma. That would be, of course, Tennessee and UConn in one of the semifinals. And I do think we'll see Baylor and Stanford in the other. And that would make, I think, Mike, the best women's Final Four, certainly in memory for me.
And in that case, who do you have in the title game?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I guess I've got to kind of have to go with UConn and Stanford, a repeat of that December game, and then we'll see who wins that one. Stanford, of course, won the one to break UConn's streak back in December.
Great. Well, thank you, Christine. Thank you for joining us on 3-0 Stance. Join us next time. I'll try to wear a little bit more blue.